according to some of the names, he used a Muslim name and a Hebrew name.
Okay, see, that goes back to when we were going through the different Islamic and Christian schools and Judaic schools. Let's take it right back to the 60s.
Yeah.
I think it was 1963 when the master teacher first came with the
60s
information
anyway.
that he's giving us now, Partarat, the way, and the information that are in the new books, like the Master Secrets. And so what you have to remember is, we weren't ready for this information back then.
Right, so he had to take you through
All the schools.
different steps, yeah.
Because like my brother Usia said, I believe it was last week, he had to put those books aside, he had to park them and say, right, you're asking about Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad, okay, let's deal with that. And then he had to go through all of that just so that we can come back to the fact of who is God really anyway.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now you're asking the right questions.
Yeah.
So now you really want to know.
Well, I hope you know he's going to do that, because I've already gone through all
But
that.
that's what he did. We done that.
Yeah.
Did that a long time ago.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So
In the 60s.
Through the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, we went through all those schools. Ansar Allah, from the 70s, we were Ansar Allah community. That's when we went through the Islamic school. And that's when his name was Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi.
Yeah.
So, and then we went into the next school, I believe it was Holy Tabernacle Ministries.
Yeah.
So we went through that, we went through Ancient Church of Koras, we went through Nubian Islamic Hebrews. So we had all these titles that we had, and these were different schools that we were going through.
Yeah.
We didn't just study those things. We actually submerged ourselves within them. We actually did those practices. We prayed 5 times a day. Some of us did pilgrimage to Mecca. We gave zakat. We went out and gave to the needy. We did all those things.
Right.
So we read the Bible when we was going through the Christianity school, from cover to cover, some of us. So he had to do that to get us to realize that it's not what we are.
Yeah, but in America, there was people, African Americans were into Islam, into Christianity, into the Black Hebrews.
Exactly.
In the 70s anyway, from the 70s onwards.
And that's because they realized, or the master teacher realized, we'd already had enough of Christianity.
Oh, yeah.
And the biggest thing that we were following at that point was Islam.
Islam, yeah.
So he put us in that school.
Yeah.
And cleaned up the mentality of the people that were there at the time.
I don't know what Farrakhan, he uses a certain terminology, the original man, I get that bit, but when he says the Asiatic black man, now that I don't quite grasp.
That's not us.
No, that's Farrakhan.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he's not talking about us. We're not Asiatic. We're not the original Asiatic black men.
Well, why? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I thought you were saying not us as the organisation.
Okay, no.
Sorry, beg your pardon. And so, but what he means by that, I'm not quite sure. I heard somebody say that maybe the whole world was called Asia at one point.
See,
I'm not sure.
Okay, when we talk about other groups or other organisations' doctrine, it's best to go to them to ask them to explain their doctrine and what they teach. Because here we teach right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, Wu-Sabat, we're Nuwaupians and we're Sabaeans. And we come under the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, we also affectionately known as Baba Yanun. So that's the doctrine and the teachings that we're coming from.
Yeah.
So, and everything that we talk about, we say to people, go away and research. Go and check it out.
Yeah, I've been a few to their meetings, and I grew up as a Christian. I've listened quite a lot to Farrakhan on YouTube, and a lot of what he says is good, because I realise that he has a certain role to play in lifting up the African American to a certain level.
Exactly.
And then maybe they can follow you after that.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
The plan was we were coming together. Back then, let's say around the 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s, but we were actually coming together.
Oh, right, okay.
We were actually working with the nation, and the nation were working with us. We used to go to their meetings, and they used to come to ours.
Right,
Because we were on the same path.
You're on the same path, yeah.
And the master teacher knew that we were supposed to cement together as one.
Yeah.
The master teacher had the pen, and Farrakhan, the master teacher even said this himself. Farrakhan is a great speaker.
Yes.
Eloquent. He can literally speak for days and days constantly, and you'd be amazed. But the master teacher was the one that had the pen. He had the words. He wrote the books. He had the facts and the science behind it. Those two coming together would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
As a nation of people, we would be unstoppable. So think of all the things that could have been that are not, and really think why. Sometimes it's ego.
Yes,
Sometimes people don't want to let go of a certain position that they may think that they have. And that's understandable if you've been doing it for a little while.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's orchestrated.
Divide and rule.
Exactly, divide and conquer, always.
Yeah, that's the problem, yeah. I mean...
Just a moment, I'm just going to reset the room. Rahubat, welcome. Today's class was supposed to be Sakam, and today it's been changed to Usia Ka'arae. He's on his way and he should be with us shortly. And in the meantime, you have myself, Nehe Khefir Re'e, and I will be doing the first part of today's Q&A just to warm everyone up and get you ready for a great Q&A session. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start with our usual Partarak. Sorry, not Partarak. Our affirmation, Partakyud. If anyone wants to actually do the affirmation along with us, you can do so, but please mute your microphone because it will come through to our end at different time frames, different time levels, and it will be it won't be in sync. So please mute your mic and do the affirmation with us. That's fine. Okay. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk Empa Paut Wukalal Ashuk Kawun Jawef Neya Anuki Kasamun Empa Paut Wupa Paut Kawun Kasamun Em Neya Anuki Wahu Ame Pa Paut Wupa Paut Kawun Mahu Ame Neya Na kokodor na juk ame kasam hem pa paut wu chabu ame mushchasum na kokador kawan kalal pafef na kok arut jawef pa paut ame wase ame aradni kawun layev bakoy jawef pa paut anuki yabek dia nafashni Pa paut kawun anuki, pa paut kador nakuk kador, pa paut amul nakuk amul. We must always try and set the room with a positive affirmation, positive tones and frequencies.
Oh, yes.
So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to read from a chapter, which is chapter 12 from Partarak the Way, a proclamation. So we'll go through the proclamation. Partarak the Way, chapter 12, a proclamation. O Sabaeans, look at those who cheat, speak untruths, yet they still claim to be one of us, one of our loyal populace. We true Sabaeans have these proclamations. 1. Do not tread in the path of Isfat, evil, on this highway of lawlessness. Now, what does that actually mean when you think about it? How many times throughout the day do you have a disagreeable thought? How many times do you think a disagreeable thought when just walking past a particular person? These are the things that we have to control. We have to contain these things. Because when we're out in the street, when we're out doing everyday things, we come across many challenges. And we have to always be mindful of our mind and the thoughts that we have and that we give out, the energy that we give out. I remember the master teacher said years and years ago in one of the old tapes, he said, our thoughts alone are so dangerous, because if we were back then we were going through the school of religion, Islam or Christianity, I can't remember which one. But he said, if we were the beings that were in heaven right now, we would be the devils there right now. We would be the ones to cause another hot star holocaust, another war, and we'd be cast out. Can you imagine that? Our thoughts alone are that powerful that we will disrupt the etheric realm. That is wow, when you think about it. So be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful, because your thoughts are very powerful indeed. Number 2, do not lie about Wu-Sabat by rejecting Pa-Nabab Yanun. You see, there are many people that claim to be Sabaeans, that claim to be Nuwaupians throughout the decades. And some of them, well, most of them aren't here anymore. Some of them will speak bad or speak ill of the master teacher for whatever reason that they give, you know? And it's sad to see, because sometimes those lies and mistruths and rejecting the master teacher are by way of ignorance, you know, are by way of not knowing the truth, not knowing facts. And ignorance isn't... The word ignorant means to listen to the word ignorance, to ignore the facts. So you know what the truth is, but you're just ignoring it, really. You just choose not to follow it. Simple thing. You know you shouldn't really be eating a certain type of food, whether it's pork or whatever it may be, but you still do it. That's being ignorant. Because you know the truth, you know the science behind it, but you still do it. Number 3, do not lie misusing our creed of truth, hakak, by ignoring the facts. There we are again. I just broke that down. Ignoring the facts. It's so easy to do that, because most of the time we're so used to acting against what we know to be true, especially in the world that we live in today. Number 4, do not lie and claim you are a true lover of truth unless by practicing it. How many of us can go back right now and say for sure we've never lied? Not one of us can say that. Think about it. We've all told lies throughout the decades that we've been alive. But it's not just the fact that we may lie. It's the intention behind the lie. That's what really matters. Why are you saying what you're saying? Why aren't you telling the truth? You could be telling a so-called lie to save a life. Now, would that be considered negative or disagreeable? I wouldn't think that. If you're telling a so-called lie to save my life, I'll be very grateful. So it all depends on what you're doing and why you're doing it. Your intentions are the main reason why we give ourselves hell. Our intentions. Number 5. Do not lie and say you can be trusted and loyal to your true race, Sabaeans, when you are not. We have to know who and what we are as individuals. Only you can say who you are from within. You know, and you know if you're loyal to your true race or not. You know what you do behind closed doors, in secret. You know who you claim to be a part of. And that one doesn't really need much explanation, because we all can look within ourselves and we know who and what we are. Whether we want to be truthful to ourselves or not, well, you can't really lie to yourself, really, can you? Number 6. Do not lie and say you are the peacemaker when you are indeed the source of arguments, fights, and gossip. Wow. How many times do we sit there in the break room at work and we have these silly conversations about who did this and who did that, and so-and-so's with this person and so-and-so's doing that. All of those actions bring about disagreeable and negative feelings amongst each other. You know, and people do know. You know, and think about who's actually watching you when you're doing all these things. The overseers. They're watching you all the time. Everything that we do is being written down. Everything. Every thought, every action, every turn. So when you're faced with the recording of everything that you did, you won't have a leg, so-called, to stand on. So you have to be so mindful of everything that you do, how you treat other people, the respect that you give yourself even. You have to be so mindful. Number 7, do not commit atrocities by rejecting ma'at, reconciliation, when other Sabaeans wish to make up. Now, sometimes we have disagreements. As Sabaeans, Nuwaupians, we have disagreements. Everyone has disagreements, doesn't matter who we are. And it could lead to ill feelings now and then. But we must always try to fix that problem. If someone wishes to make up, you should, with good spirit and good intention, make up. But this is the thing. If I've done you something really terrible or some type of harm, verbally, physically, whatever it may be, I have to be the one that comes to you and say, I'm sorry. I did it for this reason, I did it for that reason, and I really want to make up with you. Now, the person that you're speaking with, they do have the right to reject that. But if they see that you're sincere, that you're willing to make amends for what they've done, why would they reject you? They wouldn't, would they, really? Because we are true Sabaeans, or we're trying to be, so they wouldn't really reject you. So we must always strive for perfection, because we will always fall down, but what matters more is getting back up, dusting yourself off, and trying again. That means more than just giving up and sitting on the floor in mess and wallowing in pity and whatever it may be. Number 8. Do not say you can be trusted while you sneak around violating all that we claim to be best for our people. Wow. That in itself explains so much. I don't really need to go into depth with that one because you can hear within the words, do not say you can be trusted while you sneak around violating all that you claim to be best for our people. That means you're doing it out in the open, you're claiming to be, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and we're all one, yay. But really and truly, you're behind closed doors or round the back, you're doing your own thing for your own personal reasons, for your own gratification and glory. And we're supposed to be building for a better planet, really. You know, everything that we do, when we ask for things from the overseers, we're supposed to be asking for something that will help the whole of humanity, not just myself. Who is it going to help? Who's it going to affect? Is it just me? Do I want £1 million? You know? Or do I want enough money for everyone to be better off? Am I thinking of a master plan to help everyone on the planet? Because the Natharu, the overseers, will help with your request as long as it's in line with natural nature, as long as it's in line with helping and doing good for all humanity. Number 9, do not lie, deceive, cheating by acting and living in the image of this beast man of sin. Woo! That's a big one. We've all grown up in a particular society where everything is about gold, diamonds, fast cars, women wearing next to nothing on TV, whatever it is. And
feeding the beast.
Exactly, feeding the beast. And we've all done it at some point in our lives.
Absolutely.
You know, we've grown up doing these things because we've lived in the image of the beast man of sin at some point in our lives. But when we know better, what should we do?
Try and do better.
Do better.
But what is the tools and methods the Nuwaubians use?
To do better?
To do better, yeah. How do they train themselves?
By reading and by listening and by living by example the information, the teachings from Pana Babianun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. Because he has given us everything we ever could want and need. And the last thing he gave us was our own language. And at the end of the book, on the Miss Batia book, the language that he's given us, what did he say at the end? He said, it is done, I'm done. I've given you everything now. Everything we could ever want and need. He's given us the Patarak, the way, the decision, the argument. These are some of the titles from the Pataraks. 30 spirits. On and on and on and on and on. He's given us so much information. So we don't really have to think to ourselves, oh, what should we be doing? We should know what we should be doing because we've got all the books. We've got the information. And then he gives us updates every now and then so that we may see, oh, this is this, this is that. This goes into more depth than what we had before. So we shouldn't be stuck. We should just be getting on with it and doing what we know we can do. So, and some of it is self-explanatory and it's actually coded within you.
Okay.
Because you should know not to steal.
Yes.
You should know not to hit and hurt other people or kill even.
Yeah.
Unwarranted.
Otherwise karma gets you.
Exactly. So certain things you should know not to do, like harm your parents, things like that. These are natural things that are encoded in our DNA.
Yes. Yes.
So the master teacher, when he teaches, he says, I'm not teaching you anything that you don't already know. This is a remembering tool.
I remember.
You're remembering what to do. You're remembering who and what you are. Sometimes, there's an instance, yeah, when I was about 12, no, tell a lie, 10, because I was still in primary school. I was 10. And I was walking home from, I used to go to a school called Cowley School. And I was walking home from Cowley School to where I lived. And all of a sudden, everything turned black and white. Everything turned into like the old sort of like Victorian times as I was walking down the road for about 10 minutes or so. And I was puzzled. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm a 10-year-old
Yeah.
witnessing and feeling all this. The street turned to cobblestones. And I remember when I was thinking about this when I was about 25. And I was thinking to myself, wow, that was a remembering thing. That was a remembering tool. I remembered being here before. I remembered walking down that road before. I remembered feeling those feelings looking at the old Victorian buildings. And everything is a remembering tool. Everything that we have within us is within us. All the information we need, the master teacher is just trying to pull it out of us. Because it's already there. Sometimes he has to knock you upside your head a bit harder than others, but it's all still there. So, yeah. And finally, if you undertake these responsibilities, let it be known by your actions. Simple. Your actions will denote what you are. Not what you say, but your actions. Because I can say anything,
Yeah.
but am I going to do it? Can I do it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's the thing.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. Actions.
So what
Action speaks louder than words.
this thing you read out is 10 points or something, 9 points?
There's 9. Okay, let me go back to the top. It's from one of our books called The Patarak, and it's chapter 12, A Proclamation.
Rock.
Yeah. PAATARAQ, the way. And this is from chapter 12 of A Proclamation. I can actually I can send this to you on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there are 9 guidelines or something, 9
Yeah.
something.
We do have many more,
Right.
but these are ones that we should always be mindful of every day.
Right.
That we get up every day, we go throughout the day, and we encounter different obstacles and different mindsets of different people, because you don't know what's going to come your way. Even when we leave here, we don't know what's going to happen. So every situation, I try to think about what I'm going to do before it happens,
Right.
because I don't want to react. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to step back, think about what I'm going to do, and then proceed. Like, for instance, most people, when they go out and they have an altercation with someone, 9 times out of 10 it ends up in a fight, right? In a pub or a bar or a nightclub or whatever it may be. Yeah? And that's purely because people don't stop, think for about 5 seconds, take a deep breath, and analyze the situation. What could actually happen here? What could actually go wrong? You know?
Right.
There's been instances where someone's just pushed someone.
Yeah.
The person's fallen over, cracked their head on the edge of the pavement, and died.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And now you're in prison for murder. Just because of a push.
Right.
Just because someone annoyed you.
Yeah.
That you pushed them that hard that they fell over.
Yeah.
That's, when you think about it, all that was a person not stepping back and taking a moment. That could have saved so much heartache.
Yeah. You know, I had a situation today. I was in the Red Sea, having
Sure.
a coffee, right? So before I went in the queue to get my drink, I put my bag and coat on a seat to book my seat, as it were.
Tour.
And while I was in the queue, a lady came and sat down the table next to mine, right? But then,
Sorry, could you use the microphone?
I beg your pardon.
It still would have come out, but just to make it really clear for those online,
So-
because they may not be able to hear you properly.
Okay, so I put my bags and coat on a chair at one table. The table next to me, a lady came and sat down to the table next to mine while I was in the queue for the coffee, right, in the ritzy cafe or restaurant.
Tour.
Yeah. But when she saw me approaching where my coat was, she jumped up and moved away nearer the door.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, uh-oh, uh-oh. And then, then I thought to myself, oh, well, that's interesting. Let me just go and... So what I did was, just for the fun of it, I went to look at her where she sat down. She sat right in the corner, far away from me. So, and I just smiled at her. Because she's a European type sort of person.
Yeah.
So, sure, I wasn't really offended or upset, but I just felt a bit sorry for her.
What did you think she meant by doing that?
Well, I can only conclude that she didn't want to sit near where I was, for whatever reason, because maybe I look a little bit different than she does, because she's a European and I'm a non-European, as it were. So she may have felt
Unease.
she felt uncomfortable because she doesn't normally associate with people who are different than herself.
Tour. I mean,
But she gave me a nice smile when I finally went out of the cafe.
oh, that's unusual.
Well, she was, but by that time she was with her significant other, shall we say?
Yeah. Unfortunately, people, I mean, if it was that reason,
Whatever the reason was, I don't know.
unfortunately, people do have their hang-ups, their different opinions of different people, and that's one thing that we have to accept, that people will prejudge different people that aren't like them.
Well, it's just for me, it was, well, how I interpret it was, it's just a tribal thing.
Yeah,
She's from one particular tribe,
yeah,
and I'm from another tribe. But generally speaking, Europeans think of themselves in terms of tribes. They don't see themselves as a part of humanity. They think themselves a separate tribe from another planet or something.
that's the thing. We all are from different planets.
Okay, so my understanding is that basically the human genome,
But most
that's
of that,
my understanding, yeah.
most of that would have been through nurture.
Nurture, okay, I
Most of that would have been through nurture, because people in different countries learn about different types of people in different ways.
yes,
Some in an agreeable way, and some in a disagreeable way.
yes.
All around the world, people treat us with a different type of mentality than they treat each other.
Right,
They put us-
tribalism.
they put us down. But we shouldn't be hung up on that, to be honest. We have to look and say, today is a new day. We have the part of Iraq, we have all the information the master teacher has given us. What we need to do is go out there and spread this doctrine. Make sure that everyone knows it, because it belongs to everyone, regardless of who they are, what color they are. Because if everyone around the world followed Wu-Sabat, we wouldn't have any problems, really.
Right,
Because it's for everyone. And if everyone knew who they were,
that's the
you
point.
wouldn't have any issues.
That is the point.
If you knew that you descended from reptilians, then no wonder I'm like this. No wonder I act like that. If you knew you were an agreeable being from the planet Risk, oh, no wonder I'm like this. So it's all good.
Well, the way, from a humanistic viewpoint, I would say that her level of ignorance about human beings is, as I say again, tribal, but also, I mean, people don't have much experience of other people,
That's right.
other cultures. They haven't traveled,
That's right.
and they're comfortable within their own little
Exactly.
tribe.
And when people don't know about other races or other nationalities or whatever
Yeah.
it may be, they do have a preconceived notion about who these people are. And a lot of that comes from the media, negative
Yes.
images from the media. I mean, look at how the media depicts Nugaru, women in particular, always half naked, always twerking somewhere on YouTube.
Yeah.
Nugaru men, always acting violent and aggressive.
So what's the term Nagaru mean?
This is one of our names for us as Negroid people.
Oh, I see. It's a...
Or darker hued people. You may have heard the terms Nubian.
Yes, yeah.
And the derogatory term for that would be, well, I'm not going to say it, but the Americans.
The N-word.
Yeah, basically. So these are just some of our real titles, some of our real names.
Yeah.
Like the Adamites, which don't apply to every single so-called Caucasian person out there. The Adamites are a specific race and group of people. Okay. Not everyone is the same. Unfortunately, like the master teacher said, it's difficult to know who is who on the planet because everyone is so mixed in. Mm-hmm. And no one can tell you who is who until he writes a book about it.
Right. So your teaching then, is it slightly different than what the Human Genome Project says?
Different in what way?
Well, the Human Genome Project says that human beings originated in Africa and then expanded throughout the world.
Well, when you
but different branches of the same tree. Let me put it like that.
Right. When we talk about Africa, the people that came out of Africa, only a certain portion of the people that you see today came from that continent. Do you see what I'm saying? Because, and we have to remember that we have to look at many different things that have happened from then till now. We've had extraterrestrials have interceded and have done experiments and have changed certain beings on the planet. And we're talking about us. We have the natural evolution of people that came out of the waters. We have different types of beings that were so-called, that looked like us, but had straight or wavy hair. And I believe those would be the Hindus. So when we talk about so-called Nagaru or black people, we are new beings.
Yes, nice one, yeah. Good.
That's why when the master teacher broke down the word, or he said we are Nubians, listen to the similarities. Nubian, new beings. We are different. We're not the same. So you can't expect us to do the same. And most people that are originally from Africa would be what we term as full souls, complete soul. Most of us here are half souls. And it's down to the mixing and the being watered down. A lot of us have different races within us or different cultures in our DNA. I remember when I was probably about 4 or 5, looking at this lady thinking, how's this my aunt by blood? Because she looked nothing like me, nothing like my sisters. But she was my aunt by blood. So I was like, fair enough, it is what it is. You know, and then my father, he has a book of all my family going back generations.
Tree, yeah, family
Yeah,
tree, yeah.
and when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. Don't like that. Don't like that. Like, huh. I'm glad I came out the way I did. You know, so.
So are your ancestors from?
Sorry, I'm just.
From the Caribbean? No.
Tour.
Alright, so I mean, we know that because of the plantation system, shall we say,
Yeah.
people became mixed. Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I would like to hand over to my brother, student teacher, Usia Ka'are'e. I yield.
Go on.
Go on.
Rahubad Moisa. Rahubad. Yeah, good looking out, brother Mihe, for holding the fort and keeping our souls moving and our souls charged.
So you came from the east.
I came from the east onto the west, just like the sun. So Rahubad Moisa, Tawakum for tuning in again to our Q question and answer class. Unfortunately, I'm sure Nihe, our brother, has explained our brother Saken not being available to do his topic class for this weekend, but I've stepped in, as we always do, try to keep the train moving and not for it to just be stagnant, you know, so.
Sorry, could you help me spell your first part of your name?
Okay, my Ranan Kanun, my name goes by User, U-S-E-R.
O?
U.
O-U?
No, you, just you.
You?
But it's pronounced U. Yeah?
U?
Yeah. The U is a U sound.
U sound. Okay,
Yeah,
U
so,
sound, yeah,
yeah.
like a long O, yeah.
That's right. So U-S-E-R.
S. Oh, like Oser, you mean?
User, yeah. User.
Oh, okay, well, in some places they say Oser and
Yeah,
Oser set.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm with you now, right, good.
Different versions of the name. But yeah, so Usia Ka'a,
Ka.
Ka'a Reye.
Ka,
Yeah. So we have a
How do you
choose a
spell
name.
Ray? How do you spell
Reye, R-A-Y-A.
R-A-Y-E.
Yeah. What? R-A-Y-A-Y.
A-Y-A. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Reye, because this is where you get the word Ray. When you hear the term
From
Atun
sunny.
Ray, yeah, Atun Ray,
Oh,
the
Atun
whole
Ra.
actual pronunciation of or the sound is Reye. That's the actual tone, Reye.
Okay.
But it's been shortened over time to Ray.
Yes, in
Yeah,
English. I
in the
suppose,
English, yeah, exactly. But what the master teacher, Parnabab Yanun, has been doing, he's been giving us back our tones.
Ah,
You see, so what you hear, for instance, Isis, that's not the correct tone for her.
no.
You know. So Osiris, that's
It's
not the
Osset,
correct
isn't
tone.
it? It's
Exactly. Or Ashashtat.
Yeah.
So we go by the correct tones. In speaking the correct tones, those correct tones then recalibrate your DNA. It aligns your DNA with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's like if I say to you, what's your mother's name? And you told me her name, and I pronounced it incorrectly. Okay, and I'm calling her in a room, and she's not answering. That means I'm calling her on the wrong name or by the wrong tone.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Just like your name, if somebody called you by the wrong tone, you wouldn't really necessarily just turn around. You may think, is somebody calling me? Do you get what I'm saying? But not necessarily that it's you definitely. So it's like the same with when a baby cries, the mother knows the tone of the baby because they're in tune with that child. And likewise, the same thing with us when we have our names. The names has a genetic encoding which is linked to your ancestors. Hence, like you, because obviously I've met you before, and you told me what your name was and what it meant, Babatunde. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like my name is Kwabina, except that's part of my traditional name. Kwabina, yeah, you know, from the Akan culture. So all names, sounds, tones, and vibrations do matter. So that causes manifestation. That causes an etheric or spiritual link to those who are in your blood. Do you understand? And what they've done over the years is they've obviously managed for us to drop our original names and use the
Slave names.
exactly. But then
Like
those
Malcolm X was saying,
yeah,
I don't know my real name.
exactly. Yeah, so those tones,
Yeah.
Malcolm, John, Richard, it all links back to their spiritual connection, not ours. Yeah. So so Tawakum, obviously we've opened up class. So yeah, if there's any questions online, I'll be more than happy to answer. Our elder here, if he's got questions, got two elders in the room. I've got somebody online, Tahuti Basor. I'm going to invite you to speak, Tahuti, if you're still around. Tawakum. Yeah, so Rahubat Moisha, so you have any questions? This is an open and answer class. I said, unfortunately, our good brother Sakin Sakham Reye is not available today to take class. So, yes, feel free. Liz, is anything in the chat? There's 4 questions in the chat, I believe, or just saying Rahubat. Okay, yeah, as I said, the class title was originally Ascending and Descending Angels. We can touch on that slightly, but I don't know what direction my good brother Seken was taking it into, but feel free to ask what that means, and I'll do my best to touch on it. Okay? Wawe, no questions? You made me travel all the way from the east to the west. There's no questions. This is your opportunity. It's your opportunity to ask questions on any topic that you feel you need covering, any misunderstandings, any clarity. It's very quiet. Okay. Should I read something for somebody? Oh, are there any other vegans? What's the question? Are there any other vegans participating? Sorry, Richard, I don't understand your question. In relation to what? Or were you supposed to type in something else? I don't know.
You can use the mic, you know. You can use the mic.
Yeah, okay, what's this? At what point that ascension happens? Are they under sorry. Right, so there's questions. What do you think about magic mushrooms and other higher dimensional substances? It's not, okay, let me take the first question. At what point that ascension happens? Okay, so again, could you probably expand on your question, because dealing with ascension, it depends on your development as a being. You know, your connection to natural nature and the forces that you're connected to is 9 ether forces. That's what we as Nagaru have the connection to. So our ascension process is by way of learning to turn ourselves inside out and outside in. And what is meant by that is what the things that you take into your being, you know, whether it's visual, physical, edible, etc., it needs to be transformed into something that's conducive and develops you as a person, as a being. Because ultimately, when you feed your body the right substances, your body translates that into the spiritual realm because it's energy. And that spiritual essence of you, what it consumes and converts, feeds your soul. Okay, and from the soul constantly being fed the right type of nutrition allows it to gain its wings or magnitude of strength, which then allows it to transform and ascend into higher realms. Because what's happened is that we as humanity in itself, but we as Nagaru in particular, we have soul. The soul was a gift that was given to us by our ancestors, Padnataru. Okay, the overseers, our ancestors, our guardians. And this soul is what was transferred into us and is being constantly being fed into us by way of our ancestors, should we open up those dimensional gates that's within us. Those dimensional gates are known as your chakras in the Hindu culture, arash, or seats in ours. And these gates are constantly being fed from the spiritual realm, or what is known as the energy or etheric realm, nutritional energy, and vice versa. So like a feedback loop, should I say. And so what we ingest physically, energy wise, mental wise, etc., affects the way your soul develops, which allows you to have the ascension process where you can actually have the ability to turn yourself into a craft and actually break the gravitational forces that keeps us bound on this realm, you see. So you can actually have the ability to do that. And there's different stages of this being able to be practiced. Doing it together is the most important, because as we chant together and as we pray together, our heart seats sync together. And when our heart seats sync, that etheric syncing and the etheric vibration and the frequency actually can break the sound barrier and can also affect levitation. So you can actually float and become one craft. So this is the science that Partner Babi Anonis been trying to convey to us over the many years through all the different schools, is that once you learn these particular things as a race of people, you have the power potentially, okay, because it is within your potency, potentially to be able to transform. But we are stifled in our growth because we feed the physical with too much negativity, which then plagues the spirit, which then kills the soul. And so this has been systematically and strategically done over the last 6,000 years, you see, by species or race of humanoids on the planet, known as Adamites, okay, and their children from these fallen Nafalu, angelic beings, for lack of a better word, but extraterrestrials have their children on this planet as well, and their intent is to keep us Nagaru or humanity suppressed so that they can control. So the ascension process is first learning to break the spell. And the spell is the spell of mental ignorance and racial blindness. Once you're able to break that spell, which means you give back all the things that you were conditioned, indoctrinated with, accepted as a child or even an adult while growing up, especially in the West, and the things that they've pushed onto us mentally and also visually, especially more the visuals, because us growing up, we've all watched the He-Mans and the Battlestar Galacticas and the Marvel comics and the Marvel movies, and we've watched all of these different things, but unbeknown to us, we are actually absorbing all of these things into the mind's eye. Okay, and the mind's eye acts like a negative. Like, if you know about old photography, they'll go into a dark room. So if your brain is in darkness, okay, it's developing images. That's how they used to do it in photography a long time ago. They used to develop images. If you know these slides called negatives, you'll hold it up to the light and you actually be able to see the image. So it's the same thing that's taking place in your mind, in your mind's eye. It's actually developing images and then is projected by way of these lights that are coming into our mind, you see, and it's being converted. So we no longer start to see ourselves in an image and likeness of who we are. We start processing and developing images other than self and kind. So we want the blonde hair, we want the weaves, we want the this, we want the, you know, the tattoos and all of these things, but not realizing these are actually programs. Okay, they've been programmed into our genes and into the very fiber of our being, not just genetically, but also into the energy or etheric matrix, the actual true essence of who you are is going into that kind of processing. And it's changing us on a molecular or on a sub-molecular level. You see, but because it happens over a period of time and, you know, gradually, you don't really notice the transition. Do you get what I'm saying? Until you start behaving and acting, and then you think that is you. You think believing in Jesus, or you think, you know, wanting to be this way, or having, you know, the tattoos, or having your tongue pierced, and all of these things are natural, but they're actually not, or that is my free will. I can do whatever I want. You see, but really unbeknown to you or human beings is that they're being slowly converted and being controlled. And also those who have potentially have a soul to develop, they're now killing their soul, you know, living in somebody else's image, giving up their energy to something else other than self. So that's what the ascension part is that I can explain. Like I said, Brother Seken might have taken it to another angle, or maybe, you know, build higher on what he's was about to teach. But I hope that helps in explaining about the ascension. Just go back a bit to...
It's cold in here, isn't it?
Cold? Rahubaz Zamal is a question. Can you explain if the Adamites not having a soul relates to Pa Ba'a or Pa Rawa? Okay, it's the Ba'a aspect. The Rawa as part is the breath. Okay, everybody receives that breath, okay, which animates you. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's two portions of what is known as soul. One is the divine essence of you, and one is the breath of life of you. Do you get what I'm saying? And that rawa, when it's breathed into you, you then, if you had what they refer to as the double portion, that will be your ba'a. But as time went on, what happened with the Adamites is, as I was explaining, due to not being in tune with natural nature or being made unnaturally, and then being mixed with other creatures, humanoids, etc., that lacked soul, okay, and were animalistic, they inherited these characteristics and these genetic traits. So once that happened to them, they essentially started to lose their soul, and even Nagaru now, who have also been mixed in, have also started to lose their soul. And I've given you examples of one of the ways, or many of the ways, that Nagaru or other people on the planet start to lose, if they do have a soul, start to lose their soul, where they eventually become less than self and kind. You with me? And it's prevalent in their way they behave, and things that they consume, and how they conduct their day-to-day life. They're not, this all becomes about self. It's not become as Brother Nihel was explaining. It's not about the good of humanity. It's all about me, myself, and I. And that's the other part of the selfish mentality that is grown from not having a soul, because you're just working off of spirit. See, so soul goes beyond that. Yes, Lamalta, you have a question.
Can you explain the difference between kind to self and selfish?
Sorry, say that again?
Kind to self and selfish.
Kind to self?
Yeah, so like self-nurturing
and
selfish.
Wait. Right, okay. We've always been taught to love self and kind. You with me? Because in loving self and kind, you're looking at you and your race. Do you see what I'm saying? And you are doing the best for your race and your kind. And there's nothing wrong with that. When it comes into selfishness mode, is that you're feeding the desires. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of, like, for instance, let's just give an example. you got a piece of cake. Yeah, simple example. You got a piece of cake, and children exhibit these characteristics a lot. Yeah, so let's even bring down from a cake. Let's give her a cookie because children like cookies. So and then they said, share your cookie with X amount. Right away, the child, unless they've been raised in a particular way, most children are selfish. Do you see what I'm saying? And they'll, no, I don't want to share this with this person, that person, that. You know, why would you share my cookie? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
absolutely,
it's
yeah.
born out of desire, you see, as opposed to loving self and kind is born out for the goodness of the whole of humanity or the whole of your race. You see what I'm saying? And so that's like the analogy that I would give, the example I give. So obviously, that's a child's mentality. So now you grow up as an adult and you still exhibit and inhibit these particular traits as an adult, is because your desires, either you haven't burnt them out or you're so wrapped up in self, do you see what I'm saying, that you can't let go of certain things that you've acquired, which is covering your true identity. Do you see what I'm saying? You want to accumulate. That's selfishness. You just want to accumulate things. You want to hoard this. You want to hoard that. You don't want to share this. You don't want to share that. You don't want to participate in group functions. That's all born out of selfishness, and that's part of the ego, which is a negative aspect of the mind. You see what I'm saying? While your mind, you have a higher perspective or aspect of the mind, which is all about loving, giving. You with me? And once you feed those positive thoughts into the mind grows and develops and blossoms into a person who's helpful, towards not just, like I said, not just your race, but just to humanity. Do you know what I mean? When you see somebody, you want to help them. You want to, we all do it. We're all guilty of it. Why should I give this person my last piece of? Do you know what I mean? But I'll tell you something. When you come into the realm of realizing who you are, and you do have, the more you give, the master teacher taught, is the more you receive. Yeah, and I was listening to the interview with Dr. Malachi Jork, one of the young children, his sons, and he was explaining how the master teacher would always give the giving, but there's a science in giving. You see what I'm saying? Because when you give, you receive. When you give, you receive. There's a book written by Deepak Chopra, yeah, and in one of his very first chapters, he says, when you go to somebody's house, yeah, the gift of giving, okay, even if you bring a card or flower or drink or something, do you see what I'm saying? The universe rewards you. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's the energy that you put out there is what you receive back. So that's the same science that it should be applied to everything you do in life. You with me? Yeah. So you're raising. This is part about the growth of your soul. That part of the ascension is because once you become a supreme being, there is no self, as in me, myself, and I. When you're a supreme being, you're helping all of humanity. You with me? You don't work on, oh well, he's this, he's that. Don't get me wrong. There's cycles, and there's supreme beings who are assigned to certain species on the planet, but ultimately, it's for the goodness of humanity and the race. Yeah. Okay.
So what you're saying is that we're trying to reach a certain point, which is where we are serving humanity
Precisely. That's your whole goal as a supreme being.
as a supreme being.
Yeah, because what is God? What is the ultimate thing of God? God helps those who help themselves.
God helps everybody.
God helps everybody, according to even the religious concept.
Yes, yes.
Not even what they believe, as in ghosts and spirits and angels and all of that. Let's just park that to the side. Just the religious concept of what God is. God is somebody who's responsible for humanity and for their actions.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's what God is. So once you're on that trajectory of raising yourself to become a supreme being, your whole goal is to become love. Do you see what I'm saying? And another thing the master teacher was explaining is, if you really want to really embrace God's love, and I put you into electric, thing to the let's just say the national grid. If I plug you into the national grid, that would be all of God's love. Could you handle that? You see what I'm saying? You love yourself to death. That's what he was explaining. So it's a gradual process where you see what I'm saying, until you're able to really appreciate what love is. And then it's funny because they show it in certain movies. And I remember watching I'm going to go back to my youth and go into Superman. Because it's Superman, when you actually watch the first movie, back in the 70s, listen to what is being said to him while he's growing in that pod. It wasn't about him flying with a cape. It wasn't about him kicking things and punching and beating by bad guys. He was to teach humanity. That's what actually says. His father's narrating to him as he's growing as going to be a man or a child, and all he was teaching him, you must go down to humans and teach them this and do that. Then they turn him to this character because it became now good and evil, bad. You see what I'm saying? But really and truly, ultimately, he is a supreme being in their concept of what a supreme being is. Do you know what I mean? Flying with a cape and and red codpiece, like he was on what you will call it from Cameo. Do you know what I mean? But we all fell for that. We all fell for that thing, ideology. But essentially, a supreme being is a being that helps humanity and thrives for the betterment of humanity.
Is that what some people call like a Messiah type person?
That is a Messiah type person. Do you see what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is, and again, because of men and humans' concept and their images of what they think a Messiah should be able to do, you get what I'm saying? They kind of like, and Hollywood. Hollywood hasn't helped. You know what I mean? They've painted this picture and ideology and concept of what a Messiah should be like. And the Messiah is a being that is supposed to raise humanity's mentality, raise you to a point where you're able to, come to, because really and truly, we're supposed to be linked in with the rest of other planets and other universes and other galaxies. So that those brothers and sisters from other galactical forces could come to this realm. Do you see what I'm saying? And we could communicate with them.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
but it's on a higher level. It's on a higher level. So that's what. But what they try to do is they whittling down this supreme being, whether female or male, into this. If he levitates or if he can multiply, he has to show all these trickeries to prove that he's a supreme being.
spiritual powers.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, he has to show that in order for you to accept who I am, I have to make water turn into wine, or I have to draw sacred ash, like the master teacher used to do. Yeah, when he called him a man of many miracles. Okay, and in one of his miracles, he would do the levitating. Do you get what I'm saying? He would do the sacred ash because the sacred ash was good for healing, and he actually was healing people using the sacred ash. Even Satyar Sai Baba also has the sacred ash that he can pull from the ethers and heal people with, etc. So you have certain spiritual masters on the planet that do have these abilities, but that's not what spiritual masters are here to do. Do you get what I'm saying? They're supposed to raise the consciousness of humanity. That's their job. So I hope I haven't digressed too much, but I hope the point is being made. And
I'm sorry, it's very difficult for me to sort of, in my...
sorry, if you use the mic again, sorry.
Well, it's a little bit difficult for me to expand my mind to the point where you're talking about beings living on other planets. That's a bit difficult. That's a bit of a stretch for me. If you're saying, I understand that there's the spirit world or the ancestral world.
Yeah.
Is that something different you're talking
they
about?
both coalesce. They all coexist, because before there's manifestation, there's always existence. Do you see what I'm saying? And existence is in different forms and formulas.
Okay.
What you have to realize is, okay, bring it down. Simplicity. What's our sun? Our sun is a star, right?
Right.
Okay. Now the star, how many stars are there in just one galaxy, according to what NASA and Hubble telescope and all of these things have mapped?
I haven't got a clue.
Billions of stars, they say, right?
Billions.
Okay. This has also been proven in other cultures that they talk about stars, etc. Or now the thing is, when you look at stars, a star gives birth to planets. Okay, that's their ultimate goal. Is like they give birth, because that's what creation is. Creation is actually giving birth, because when you look up the word, to create means to grow or to give birth. Yeah. So these stars are giving birth to planets. Now planets then generate and grow life.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
the life that has taken place billions of years ago has evoluted to the point where some of them don't need a body in order to travel or to move from one place to another, because they've mastered the physical. Does that make sense?
Yes, when I
Okay.
compare the fact that they say that when we die,
Exactly. I was gonna say.
we have
Exactly.
a spirit body or a soul body,
Exactly.
which loses the physical one,
exactly.
and then carries on.
Exactly. So
whatever,
you're composed. Exactly. So you're composed of 3 to 4 different components.
Yeah. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? The physical, because it's in a world that is governed by physical laws. Do you see what I'm saying? Then you have, yeah, you got it, yeah? Then you have the energy realm. This word spirit is more connects it to religion. So let's just say it's energy. Okay? So auras, yep,
chakras.
yep. So these are just like different particles that the energy will work through. But these energies are called either spirit or soul. Do you see what I'm saying? By religious concepts. Okay? But the particular energy, some beings have transitioned to the level where they understand that the physical is not the be and end all of existence or life. You with me?
Yeah.
So going back to the star explanation, some of these beings have been around and revolved around star formations, and they've got to the level where they did not need a physical body. They're no longer bound by the physical laws, you see what I'm saying, of a body or the environment. They've now ascended. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yes.
Yeah? And what's happened is that they can now not just travel from planet to planet without the aid of a body. They can now, understanding the formulas that are in the universe, can move through black holes and multiple dimensions. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So what the master teacher is trying to teach us is something called out formation. We've been taught things called information, which deals with persons, places, and things. It's all about this realm. It's not taking you higher to the outer reality that beings live in different dimensions and different realms of energies or energy states. And so these particular, some of these beings, or many multiple beings, have mastered this. So then they're given names like ascending masters or descending masters, etc., because they've got to a level where they no longer need a skin suit.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, skin suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
explanation.
exactly. Well,
skin
yeah. So
suit,
that yeah. So, but when they come to a realm that where they require a skin suit, they use the energy of that planet and create one, so that they can incarnate into. This way, you get your incarnation. You see what I'm saying? Because the word incarnate just means to come into a physical body, carnal, into a physical body, carnate.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm getting a picture in my mind is at some point we should be able to, from this dense state that we are in now,
That's right.
we should be able to go to a finer and finer level of energy.
There you go. Precisely.
I think that's what you're saying, is it?
Precisely. Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
Exactly.
I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that. A different level
Yeah.
of consciousness.
Yeah.
Then.
So what has primarily happened to us? We've been made to forget.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? Because people aren't aware there's an actual spell. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
that has been put over us,
Right.
a deep mental spell.
Right.
So when you understand also, and you start to understand the mechanics of the mind, the master teacher wrote a book called The Mind, to show you that once your mind is corralled and is controlled by other forces than yourself, there is easier for them to manipulate, just what I'm saying, your mind's eye. And I was giving that thing about the images, because many people haven't studied or taken the time out, no fault of their own, but because of environment, because of upbringing, because of the institutions that we grow up in, they feed us misinformation. So you no longer want to pursue a particular feeling that you may have about
Beyond the matrix.
beyond the matrix, yeah, beyond the physical. You're trapped. So that's why they trap you by words, they trap you by sounds, they trap you by tones, because what they don't teach you, oh, we're all the same. Religion teaches, oh, we're all the same. We're not all the same. Physically, physiologically, we all have a nose, eyes, mouth, you know what I mean? That's it, yeah. But when you start to go beyond that, and you start to go into the physiology, the DNA, the genetics, the matrix, the this, the that, and you start to break it down, remember, they've done the human genome project.
Yes.
So they've been able to map out genes. When you're able to map out genes, you can see who's got what trait, who's got this, who's from that. And there's a natural, on YouTube, there's a elder who's been studying human genes for a long time. I've forgotten, you have to try and look it up. But basically, he breaks down that they found out that certain races or species have, I think, 3, then 6, then 9. 9 being the highest. And the masters always taught that we are 9 ether beings. And they've marveled at the fact that how do the African race have 9 how do they put it? It was like the DNA. It's like 9 strands of DNA. Do you see what I'm saying? But even in their own research, they managed to find out certain things about us. You know, I mean, the closest classic example is your melanin. You know,
yeah.
melanin itself, they marvel at, because they know that it not just acts as a sun shield. Trust me, they study melanin. They know that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? They absorb. They know it absorbs certain fractals of light. It can convert light into energy. It can do so many things that they marvel at. And because they are beings who, the people that have been studying this are mainly melanin recessive. So they will never gonna teach you about the potency and the power of melanin and what it can do for you as a Nagaru. Do you see what I'm saying? So all of these things is just to say that we are supreme beings. We're connected to supreme forces. Those supreme forces are known as 9 ether forces. And those 9 ether forces have sent a warner, a guide, a teacher, a healer, and many other things in the form of Dr. Malachi Z. York to help raise you back to that conscious level where you become a supreme being. Because that's who you are.
Do you think in a kind of vague or simplistic way, the term you use, forgetting, does that speak to something what they're trying to say, like, man, according to the Bible, the Adam and Eve story, they had a certain level of consciousness at one point, and then after they disobeyed the commandment, they had a different lower level of consciousness. Is that something?
It's something to that effect, yeah, because remember, they were created by their overlords for a specific reason. They were created as food and to be controlled and to be workers. That was initially the Adamites' reason for them being made.
Okay.
You see? But as time gone on, they've mixed in with other cultures, other races, etc. So it's put them on the pedestal where they seem to be in control and they seem to have power. But really and truly, they don't have any of this. It's all an illusion that they've created. You understand? Yeah. So you know, their God gave them this to have dominion and rulership for a particular set of time, which was 6,000 years.
Yes, yes.
So that spell was enforced, really a lot of that force was enforced on us 6,000 years ago when the birth of the Adamites came along, you see.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, gonna jump back to the questions in the thing. Are there any? Okay, I got Rita who's got her hand up, and I'll jump back to the class. Rita, sorry, the mic. Unlock the mic and ask your question.
Okay, Rahubat.
Rahubat.
So I have been considering ascension, and you've answered a lot of the questions regarding that. You know, as 9 ether beings, original identity and understanding who we were, and or what's innate in us, I think has always been a question for me. I know that for 6,000 years we've developed ourselves based on, you know, society and these rules, regulations, all of these kinds of things. And now,
Sorry, Violet, if you could mute your mic, we can hear background noise. Tautat. Sorry, Rita, go ahead.
that's okay. And so, you know, as supreme beings, who is it that we were? Like, I'm thinking of in terms of characteristics. I know, you know, clairvoyance and telepathy and all of these kinds of abilities that we have, but were we immortal, confident, noble, all of those things?
Tua, yeah, you literally are what you've just literally listed. We were Ethereans. Okay, so that's just in our language we are muachach, which is etheric beings. Okay, so we've always existed because existence is part of what we call, or you may be familiar with the term pa-pa'ut, the all,
Yes.
yeah, or all. We're all expanding. So we grew, 9 ether forces grew the universes. We are those 9 ether forces. In our physical manifestation, yeah, it's what you see now, as Brother Nihel was explaining. We are new beings. You see what I'm saying? But originally, we were the original, when you go into ancient Tamaray, you come across the Ogduads, okay? Or the Pa Chamenu in our tones. So Pa Chamenu, these dark energy tones of existence, incarnated after creating the universes. And they incarnated into flesh form. You see what I'm saying? So this is what happened with us. We existed in what the Master explains as 9 pockets, okay, 9 gaseous pockets in the universes. So we are Pa'ut. Do you see what I'm saying? We are all, and we are dark energy and dark matter. Again, something that mundane scientists are trying to crack the code and understand what is dark matter, what is dark energy. And they say that 24% is made up of this and 76% is made up of that. We are those manifestations of dark matter and dark energy in its physical form. So when partner Bab Yanun explained 9 ether, when 9 ether manifests, okay, and it slows down its energy vibration, there's only one way 9 ether is gonna go when it slows down and manifests into a physical form. It manifests as woolly hair, dark skin. You see what I'm saying? Though that is the formula. It's like, you know, when you go into chemistry and you try to make a chemical formula and you add the iron and the this and the that, and to create particular element, or sorry, a particular molecule or compound. Well, we are 9 ether formula. We are elemental beings, do you see what I'm saying, that can have slowed down our energy vibration. So that's formula when it manifests as Nagaru or the African race. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah?
it makes sense, and I really it's valuable, understanding, who we were, because where we are now, moving back into it, it gives like direction, and
To
that's
her.
why I read the book The Mind and the Potential
To
that
her.
Dr. York wrote, and it's easier to grasp that understanding. I did want to know, like, at what point did we become downgraded? Was that when the Adamites were created, or were we
No.
our
Yeah, we were yeah, definitely on a downward trajectory, because the universe has cycles. So these cycles happen for us. We've always existed. So there's a date or a number that Partner Babylon has given us, 76 trillion years. That's why when when he came and he's saying, I'm a being that has 76 trillion years of information. You can't even fathom what that even would look like. But
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? But 76
yeah.
trillion years is what we existed in these air pockets, creating the multiple universes, the omniverse to the universe to the dualverse, etc., etc. And in one universe, you have multiple galaxies. So we, in our supreme state, yeah, as Ethereans, were doing this. Now, the downward trajectory that took place is when this universe started to die. And when the universe starts to die, which happens 17,250,000 years ago in this universe, that's when 9 ether started to die. So when 9 ether's formula changes and starts to die, again, nature has a way of representing every cycle. Do you see what I'm saying? So natural nature within its cycles produces a representative of that cycle, a physical and a visible representative of that cycle. And that physical and representative of that cycle, because of the weakness of the potency of the formula, manifested as a Dravidian, or what we could refer to as the Hindu. You see what I'm saying? Yeah? But when
Like
we were...
that dilution of sorts, kind of
Sorry, say that again?
thing. A diet. It's like beings being diluted in some way.
That's right. Yeah, but it's the death of that. You see,
Yeah.
so with the dying of the ether, also the mentality starts to die. It starts to get weaker and weaker. You see what I'm saying? So when the mentality, you can see the mentality of a race by the way its nature, you see what I'm saying, produces things or destroys things. So if you look at if you look at the if you want to go look at somebody's nature, look at their artwork, look what they've done in the last 6,000 years, or look what they've done in the last 10,000, 20,000 years, just by their artwork and what they produce. You with me? And you can see within just the last 400 years what's happened to us, the atrocities. You see what I'm saying? So that is the nature of a beast. That is not a nature of a supreme being.
Yes.
You see?
And from that death, then the Adamites come in.
Exactly. So it's a long duration and process before we even get to the Adamites. There was many different beings on this planet alone, let alone the known universes. You see, because again, very egotistical of the Adamite race or the Mukasu to say that we're the only human intelligent beings on this planet, dismissing anything else that might have come before. You know, that is the egotistical mind of a being that's lesser Because if you were a supreme being, you'd have said, yeah, you know what? Yeah, of course, there must be. It makes sense. You know, if this started here and this evolved to that, and you start to reason, and 9 ether is the highest form of reasoning. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm just going to read something from it's called The Proof. Is this The Proof?
The proof, okay.
Yeah, this is sorry.
It's a Pateract?
No,
or-
it's an actual fact called okay, so this is The Proof by way of Pa Nabab Yanun. Okay, so in this actual fact, it's quite a big book, but at the beginning of it, it start, well, not at the beginning, at the first portion. Have a safe journey. It says, in the beginning were the sons. This is verse 1. The birth of chaos. In the beginning were the sons, and the sons are within Fater Yal Fatah, natural nature. And the sons are natural nature. The sons, the true Kakab stars, are Pa Nataru. I read that again, because this is where he's taken us into the realms of acknowledging what is known as cosmological outformation, because we just been taught that the sun is just a ball of gas that gives light to this planet and gives growth. Do you see what I'm saying? But the master teacher is explaining here that these are overseers. They are the Nataru that we call on are the sons.
Ah, okay.
You see what I'm saying? You can get to the height of become an Etherean, because what does the sun give off? Ether. It produces ether. So the highest form of Etherean is the sun. You're constantly speaking to Pa Reye when you know, each morning when you wake up, you're speaking to one of your ancestors. It's hard for people to fathom and acknowledge that, but it's actually a living, breathing entity. Yeah? So, Panatharu, the overseers, who grew absolute natural nature. So when I said, well, we were Ethereans, we were the suns. We are the sun. We are dark matter. We are black, dark energy, dark matter. Producing suns and growing galaxies and all of this, because one sun, when it spurns off, you know, it spirals, creates another sun. Do you see I'm creating another sun? These were formulas that was embedded into the mental and mind of Pa Pa'ut, of all. And these things happen. So the overseers who grew absolute natural nature from and of omniverse, all, into universe, the all. So know this, truth is unity and falsehood is division. Truth is unity because the pieces of the true jigsaw puzzle fit neatly together as one unit. And falsehood is division because it's just the opposite. Okay, and then I'm going to jump to what natural ether is. So now let's reason. Verse 1. The Fater Yal Fatah, natural nature, Kasud, meaning of the word, the Madat word positive, Tasu, 9 ether, used in this work is the condition of natural nature moving toward standards, values, and qualities that grow better and higher toward perfection. So that's your ultimate goal, is to grow better and higher towards your perfection as a 9 ether being. Okay? In Rawin Nashat, dark energy, space, Rawin, dark matter, material, and time, that moment by rules and Nadam, order, and also ascending Kayus, reason. The moment is the speed of a thought, 24 billion miles per moment. It is the speed of your mind. Just, of course, think of any place on the other side. Verse 3. The unnatural nature, Kasud meaning of the word negative, 6 ether is just the opposite of positive. No, number 5, I'm just going to jump to a few parts. Number 5, the number Tasu 9 represents the true positive in absolute natural nature. And the number 6, Satu, or 6, symbolizes the negative, that is unnatural nature. naturally and factually man's kind, and made on the 6th day of Tammuz, 63761 BCE. Verse 7. You have 4 grand cycles, or 96,000 Shamut-At years. You are now in the new 24,000 year cycle, starting after the year 2000 AD, which was the year 6000 of the Adamite calendar, to separate the 2 cycles of Natham, order, and of Babel, chaos. The cycle of order is also the cycle of cosmos, and the cycle of chaos is also the primordial chaos. 1, bara, space; 2, madat, material; and 3, wakut, time. Yeah, I could go on, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, because so it's a long book and it goes into a deep meaning of who we are, the cycles, etc.
Yes, and so I've written that down. I'm going to get that one next.
Okay.
Would you say that okay, from the 9 ether beings, the DNA of 9 ether beings, other races were created? Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, it's like the example analogy I've given in the past is, I mean, people give different explanations, but imagine you've got a prototype of a car. Yeah, that was the original car that was invented. But then you've got Ford, Chrysler, you've got Datsun, you've got all the different names and brands of that car, and they've then superimposed their idea onto the original car. Do you see what I'm saying? Which fits everybody's desires or likes. Does that make sense? And it's the same thing with the Adamites. The Adamites or other species that came about is because extraterrestrials stepped in and they took the DNA of the root race, the root seed, and then they did just that. They superimposed their image and likeness, as it says in Genesis. And God made man in his image and after his likeness. You see what I'm saying? Referring to the Anunnaki and the Pleiadians, etc. So that's what they did. So it's the same concept that applies. Extraterrestrials come, they either take what's originally here, or they take what's out there already, and then they add their own DNA strands in. Because have you ever heard of a genetic machine, gene machine called CRISPR?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
look more into CRISPR. You see how they can literally take out a segment of DNA, enclose it with the next plasmid, that fuses together, you see what I'm saying? And then it writes its code, because based on the protein, it will write its code, and that code, once it's written, becomes part of that person. So now you can have a child that have selective eyes. I want blue eyes, or I want my child to have curly hair. And they can now design a gene your child. And that's what Michael Jackson did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, I mean, whether it's his children or not, but we know, every Nagaru will know that, yo, bro, that's not your children. Do you know what I mean? Because we've got dominant features. And if everyone, children beyond a certain age, if they don't know who Michael Jackson looked like, they're going to think the one that they see looking like a pale albino, do you get what I'm saying, was Michael Jackson. And we know who he looked. He was a Nagaru. You know what I mean? The biggest afro going. So so he this is what is taking place, where extraterrestrials will remove certain genes, do you know what I mean, infuse their own. Like, even there's a particular genetic trait which you can find in dark-skinned people. They call it a name, I can't give it the name, but they have blue eyes. So yeah, I've forgotten the actual trait or thing they refer to it as. But those blue eyes is because of the interception by the Pleiadians. You see, so what they were doing is they were coming because remember, every of these extraterrestrials either work in cycles, or they sneak into this planet's realm to do whatever they need to do and then leave. And then they come back, like a bit like scientists. Scientists will, put something on a petri dish, go away for hours or whatever, come back the next day, and then it's grown arms and legs or whatever the case may be. You with me? So it's literally the same process that takes place, because a day unto the Lord, according to the Bible, is like 1,000 years. So even though you may think, hold on, right, you know, a day's gone by, for them, their trajectory around the sun and coming back, just like a comet, will be, 1,000 years. So they come back like, what's happened? You lot haven't evolved. Do you know what I mean? You're still in the amoeba stage. We left you. Do you get what I'm saying? And you're still thinking like, look what you're doing to each other. You're stabbing and killing each other, and we didn't leave you like this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's once you start to expand your mind and start to get to the realization that the God that you're talking about is just a supreme being, or an advanced being, or extraterrestrial who has more knowledge. Do you get what I'm saying? Then you start to say, okay, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what it is.
And I know that there's an African tribe that has blonde hair.
That's
And-
okay.
And would that be the same, the Pleiadians?
It was the
coming
diff.
in
That's right.
and
You
then-
can find that in 18 plus 18 plus 1. Also 37 genes of the mitochondria. So in that breakdown, and also no, it's not in Kabir Kadam. I think there's 18 plus 18 plus 1. In there, it shows you that the master explains about those different countless interceptions at different points where they'll come in. Okay, we need to change this a little bit. We need to change that because ultimately what they're trying to do is they want to embed themselves into onto this planet and survive and live.
Yeah,
You
I
see? So the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, and all of these, the Andromedans have their children. These are your hybrid, your neutrinoids. That's their children. And they've been using, like the master said, watch from, I think when he wrote The Man from Planet Risk, he was breaking down about the neutrinoids. But he never explained that these were the Andromedans who were doing this, where they were producing a race that you can't tell who and what they are. Do you get what I'm saying? These were your hybrids that was being created. So all of these are just interceptions that are being done by extraterrestrials at different points of time.
Yes. Well, and I only have two more questions regarding this, and it's so interesting to me. When you say 9 ether beings, we are connected to the sun, we are the sun. Does that mean that everyone or every race that was created from the DNA of the 9 ether being, they're also connected to the sun, but in varying degrees?
Correct. And unfortunately, some have, like I said, varying degrees. So some obviously get affected by the sun due to their genetic predisposition. So they can't produce enough melanin, do you know what I mean, in the melanocytes to protect them. And there's different types of melanin, as you probably know, that there's, so all of these are all genetic traits and imbalances in the genes of certain races or certain species on the planet, correct?
Gotcha. Okay, and then with regards to the sun being this natural organic creation, the moon, because it's artificial, how was that created? And also being a satellite, I know that here on planet Earth, when we talk about moon cycles and things like that. If it's artificial, I just wanted to understand, why do we use the moon as a guide if it is artificial and not like the sun as an organic creation?
Well, the thing is, it's been through, again, planet Earth, Tiamat, has been through many cycles. So it has had at times X amount of moons. You with me? And what's happened is it was put in place in order to protect the beings that were here from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. It buffers it. You understand?
The moon that we see now.
Sorry?
The moon that we see now. The moon that we see now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's what I've came across a thing. There's the master explained that there's like because obviously one of them is the moon itself is being made. It's being made artificial by these greys to observe us. He hasn't gone into much detail as to how it, you know, what the mechanics are behind it. You with me? He just explained that. So we might have to pose that question to him, because there is if I don't know if you've been to the UnitedSabianWorldwide.com website, where it
Oh,
says,
yes.
yeah, so there's questions that you can ask Yanun. Do you see what I'm saying? So some of
Okay.
the questions we are not able to answer, or sometimes through those questions, it gets to him, and he will release it in the form of what we call updates. You see? So if it's like, from certain things that are relevant in this day and time, like when we were going through the COVID, he broke all that down about the COVID, having dogs and animals and pets in your house, and that these pets breed diseases, and that's how COVID is going to carry and embed itself again through the animals. And it hasn't gone, even though people think it's, you know, they're all right. But COVID is going to actually move through the animals. And so if you got pets in your home and reptile creatures, or, you know, things like that, they breed disease. You see, so that's
Okay.
just something to be mindful about. Yeah, I hope that answers all your questions, Rita. We're going to try and jump to a few.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Antata Tira 4, only doing the works of our ancestors and the master teacher. That's what we do. Right, if there's no more questions, live questions, I'm gonna jump back to the chat. Would you know where we can get more on the language? If that can be posted to answer that, Zamal, you can go to. Okay, you can go to what's the site called? 1 second, let me just get the name of the site. But there's a few on Telegram you can actually go to. So the one that I tend to use quite often, and I, as far as I'm aware, is the official one, is Sabatia Kanat. So that's Sabatia Kanat. So if you go to Telegram and you type in Sabatia Kanat, you'll be able to access the language class on there. But like I said, even on Facebook, there's also languages on there. And one of the main teachers is Den Tot, who is a very, excellent teacher. There's quite a few, but those are the ones that comes to mind, because he's the first one that kind of grabs to, who was really teaching the classes. But there's a few. There's brother Annie Khonsu. There's Zamalta in there, but Annie Khonsu mostly posts, and there's a lot of information of pronunciations and the grammar and the language and the words and the Amadat, all the words. that's all in there. So yeah, check out Sabatia Kanat, and also from there you'll be able to maybe be shown other places to go. Wawe, any questions? You want to say it now? Yep. Oh, our app?
It's live.
Okay, right, there you go. So we have our live app that you can also now access on, what's it called? Disruptive Solutions, DS4 Success. That's DS4 Success, Disruptive Solutions, isn't it .net? Is it .net? .com, disruptivesolutions.com, where you can actually get a whole language course, okay? The whole language course is on there. Okay, so I'll say it again for those who want to take a note and write it down. That's this.
I've actually put the link in the chat.
Oh, Tawata. Appreciate that. Tawata. Okay. Right, we'll jump to, would you know where we can get more on the language? Okay, so we've done that. In the ancient Africa creation story, this is from Victor Carey Uki. In the ancient Africa creation story, Auset, Asa, and Het Hiru or Nephthys are sisters and brothers. Excuse me. Yet they have intimacy to conceive Hiru. Isn't that incest? Okay. You're dealing with a different culture, a different times period, and it wasn't incest. Okay? Things was done much more differently back then than it is now. And it was all about keeping the bloodline pure. It wasn't about incest, religious mentality and Western ideology on what incest is. This was a culture that knew what they were doing and understood the science of what we teach as genetic kiss. Okay, master teacher put out a book called Genetic Kiss, and in there explains about the way you can pass on genes, DNA, to someone, and if you don't know about their past, it's not just even about the immediate past, as in the individual's past, but when you exchange DNA, DNA has a historical past, which means that you're also now taking in the ancestors' genes into your being, okay? And especially for the female, because she's a double X chromosome, she intakes everything and can store it for up to 7 to 9 years in her being. So we understood these sciences, and it wasn't looked upon or frowned on like in the religious world, or even in the current society that we live in, that it was a form of incest, okay? Because we understood the sciences and the and the genetics that went behind it, okay? So that's essentially what it is. In Wu-Sabat culture, from Victor Karaoke again, in Wu-Sabat culture, you emphasize on not eating meat. How is one to nourish the body with proteins, lipids, and the necessary amino acids? Okay, that's again you kind of answered it in your own question, because remember the last or last animal to actually consume those particular things are herbivores or carnivores, and herbivores actually consume the original state that these proteins are in. So let's take, for example, moringa. Okay, moringa is an excellent source of protein. In fact, it has more protein, more calcium per gram than protein itself, which is in a more denser form, like meat. And what you have to remember, the concept or the idea of the word meat is taken and misinterpreted, coming from your religious concept. When you read in Genesis, and they say that the herbs and the fruit you shall eat for meat, it wasn't referring to what you have as in the form of protein from chickens and cows and other forms of, herbivores that, roam the planet and eat grass and eat, vegetables. Okay, so really and truly, all the things that the nutrition that you're looking at, that you've mentioned here, is actually from the vegetable kingdom. Yeah, and your body actually can synthesize that, and the bioavailability of those products or of those foods are actually synthesized in your body much better than protein. You go and research more about protein, you find out that your protein can actually be a cause of certain illnesses. Okay, so just those kind of things to bear in mind. So just go and do the comparison. Also, the reason why, I don't know if you know the reason why we emphasize not eating meat, as in the form of beef and cows and chickens, etc., is because they are on a lower vibrational rate in the sense of spiritual energy. So if you are a meat eater, you are actually attracting, because everything gives off pheromones and everything gives off a form of energy, what you consume. You are what you eat. I don't know if you ever heard that saying before, you are what you eat. So when you consume certain foods like meat-based, you're actually lowering your energy vibrational frequency. In fact, you can actually go and check out the vibration, the different vibrations or different frequencies of certain foods. And you actually be able to compare the two, that eating vegetables, etc., is much more of a higher frequency, and your body can actually assimilate it better in your system than if you're eating, more densified protein, source of protein. So that's essentially what's taking place. I think Jose Hotep Matabel mentioned spirulina is a great vegan source of protein. There you go. So that's another form. So you got moringa, you got spirulina, you got chlorella, and many others. You got pulses, peanuts. I mean, it could go on. The list is endless of what proteins. And what you have to realize is the process it takes for meat to break down. Okay, let's just backtrack a bit. When a carnivore, a meat-eating animal, consumes a zebra, let's just say, it doesn't go into the kitchen, buy some seasoning, put some oil on the fryer, and then tenderize the meat in order to cook it. Yeah, no carnivore does that. They eat it raw. Okay? The reason why they eat it raw is because that's their natural nature, for one, and two, they have certain acids in their stomach that can break down the protein which your body doesn't have. So when you're consuming meat, what will happen is the meat will actually stay in your system and in your gut, and it will rot. So you may think that, oh, you've tenderized it, you've cooked it, you've chewed it, and most of the time, most of us don't even chew like 30 to 40 times before swallowing. We kind of like wolf down the food. Do you know what I mean? We just, oh, it's nice, man. Look, oh, it tastes nice. That goat meat. The goat meat is nice. So once you're consuming this, it's going down your, esophagus, going into your alimentary canal, and always doing all these things. But once it gets into the stomach, the acids in the stomach cannot break down and into the nutrients that your body requires, and actually it can back up. So it keeps backing up in your colon. It keeps backing up in your colon, and what is happening is actually rotting in your colon. Once meat starts to rot, the bacteria, okay, that's in your gut already start to be eliminated, because you got good bacteria and you got what they call bad bacteria that's in your system. So these flora that's in your system, these let's just say bad bacteria, what tends to happen is they start to proliferate, they start to grow more in abundance. And when that starts to happen, they start to leak into your blood system. And this is where you start having ailments and, diseases, etc., manifesting because of the meat eating. That's just one aspect, just, a bad consumption of, eating meat, especially red meat, to be precise. Okay, so all of these things are to take in mind. And as I read from the proof, we're about reasoning teaches you your higher self how to perfect your being. And that is not a way to perfect your being. You're actually lessening your being. You're consuming things that are suppressing your body from actually transforming. Okay, so that's what is being taught, and we teach that, where you have to learn to transform yourself to become a supreme being is part of that process. Rahubat Zamal, next question from Keith Albina. I think I pronounced that right. Rahubat Zamal Wu Moisar, question: can you please explain about the native Riskian and non-native Riskian on planet Risk, the melanin draconian being? There's the native Riskians, as is stated, okay, when you read things like Man from Planet Risk, etc., the native beings are the ones that incarnate into a body and actually were originally on Risk. Do you see what I'm saying? That's a native. It's like you being born on the planet Earth. You're native, naturalized to this planet. Then you have the visitors that came here, came to the planet Risk, and they were given certain continents to be their home. And these were the non-native ones. See, so the native ones could travel from place to place. They didn't have like a passport, as it were. They had free roam. Okay, these were your Riskians, and then you had the Etherians who incarnate or precipitate into form, and then they can move from continent to continent. They're not bound by rules and the regulations that was imposed on Risk, or was So that's essentially what happened. So the Draconians, they came looking for a home or looking for shelter, okay, and they were given a particular place, and that became their home on Risk. So this is what it's referring to. If that's what you're asking, please confirm with a thumbs up or ask your question on the chat. Just like our Egyptian ancestors, did everyone come to them for all they have today? In a sense, yes, because as we were explaining, they are like your police. The Riskians are the ones that protect the universes. You see what I'm saying? And the galaxies. That's part of their remit, as it were. They keep the universe in fit form and in balance. So that's their job, is to keep the universe in balance. But once a planet, a galaxy, a universe is under threat by other forces, they have to then find a solution by sending either certain warriors or sending certain teachers, depending on the task at hand. So like for instance here, our partner Taru, etheric beings from Risk and also from the Orion star system and the Sirius star system, they convened and sent a warner to us because they could see the way the world or the planet Earth is going towards self-destruction. Plus also their specific children on this planet, and they sent a warner to wake up and redeem those children of the Nataru, because they can see, or they were able to see where a particular species was taken, was running rampant on the planet, and where they're going towards is nuclear destruction. So it could be any time, it could be any place where these warmongering draconian children, Pleiadian children, Anunnaki children, different species of them, do you know what I mean, are on the planet, and they're wreaking havoc. They have their children mostly in religion, causing all these wars. So you have war taking place, just something Israel's taking, there's war there, there's war here, because they know that they are destructive by nature, and that's their nature, they're just very destructive. And you go to their Bible, which is the books that was given to them, it even says that their God grieved in his heart that he had made the Adam. You see, they use the word man, but when you go into the Hebrew lexicon or the Blue Letter Bible, it actually uses the word Adam. Yeah, so he had grieved man or Adam, and that his thoughts, read what it says, his thoughts were only evil continuously. Yeah, it didn't say for a short period, it didn't say continuously. You with me? So they all bent on destruction and subjugation of different people or different races on the planet, as you can see. It's all about control because of their overlords and what was encoded in their genes. What was encoded in their genes was to be controlling, competitive, warlike. You see what I'm saying? This was actually programmed in their genes. And if you go to, there's a book called, it's called Kabir Kadam, Bigfoot. And we go to, if you haven't got this scroll, it's called Kabir Kadam, Bigfoot. It's an actual fact. So just go to, right. So this is talking about verse 164 of Kabir Kadam, Bigfoot. They are of the Mudganu, reptilian races or dragon. Actually, let me just jump back a bit. Right, here you go. Verse 158. In their Bible and Quran, their God tells them which jasad, flesh, and damam, blood animals to eat. That is, kill animals and eat when you don't need flesh and blood to be healthy. This goes back to your question, what you stated regarding proteins, etc. Yeah. Verse 159. So their God tells them to be carnivorous or carnivores, from Latin of the Roman caro, flesh, vorare, to devour flesh. Verse 160. Why would a God tell them this if it's now a known fact that herbivorous, from Latin of the Romans, herba, herb, meaning small plant, and vora, from vorare, meaning to eat or devour. Verse 161. Herbivores are much healthier than flesh eaters. Verse 162. Did their God not know this medical fact? Or is it because he was a flesh eater? Verse 163. I'll jump from that because there's a quote, but jumping onto verse 164. They are of the Mudganu. Yeah, so the Adamite or the Mukasu race species, particular species of them, they are of the Mudganu, reptilian races or dragon of Draco star system. Verse 165. The Homosaurus, as is found in the human damag brain today, a site called the reptilian part of the brain. Verse 166. The reptilian brain is the first of these complexes and is the oldest in terms of its evolutionary development. Verse 167. Is the deepest section of the brain, located under the larger brain mass. Verse 168. Known as the R complex. This part of the brain is comprised of the damag brain stem and the cerebellum. 169. The R stands for reptile or reptilian. Verse 170. This section of the brain has been nicknamed the reptilian brain due to the fact that the behavioral traits for which it's responsible for are most often observed and associated with reptiles. The reptilian brain, the oldest of the three, limbic neocortex. So you have the three, reptilian, R complex, limbic, and neocortex, controls the body's vital functions such as arbab, heart rate, breathing, khatat, body temperature, and balance. 172. Our reptilian brain includes the main structures found in a reptile's brain, which includes pure survival instinct, direct stimulus response, fight or flight response, competition, aggression, domination, repetition, ritual, and desire to hoard resources. Yeah, so this is what's happened with the Mukasu and the Adamite race. There were certain genes were pre-encoded in them, do you see what I'm saying, or encoded in them to behave in an animalistic, purely survival, self-centered way, okay? And it's exhibited in their traits when they were mixed in with three different animals, the Homo porcine, the Homo simian, and the Homo, what's that one? Yeah, Homo canine. Yeah, so there's three genes or DNA that was extracted and then replicated and implanted into these Adamite. So this is why they act and behave the way they behave. And also, as I've read here, the reptilian brain is a main structure that controls and commands them, and also many other things which we can't go into in class because it will take up class. But verse 173, I'll keep reading. The three parts of the brain, reptilian, limbic, and neocortex, do not operate independently of one another and have established numerous interconnections through which they influence one another. Verse 174, the human's brain only activates on 54 watts of electric or electronic energy to work. But yeah, that was the main point I wanted to show, is that they were made that way, yeah, to be competitive, to be aggressive, to be warlike, etc. And you can see it in their nature, okay, over the past 6,000 years. You have a question, Zamal?
Yeah, who created them?
Pleiadians and the Anunnaki, and as here, the Draconians. So they were responsible for creating them.
But didn't they know that they would become like the way they are?
Well, that's why I said they grieved in God's heart. They didn't know. I mean, they thought that there was a level of control. You see what I'm saying? But it's like, if I can use it loosely, it's like artificial intelligence. In fact, who's seen, what's it called now? Not Running Man. It's got Harrison Ford in it.
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No. So it's a scientific one, sci-fi one. Oh, what's the name? In that movie, basically, there is a bioengineered humanoids that are being created.
Indiana Jones?
No, it's not on that list. It's a sci-fi movie. And they made a sequel to it. But in that movie, it shows you that there was these bioengineered humanoids that were created to work off-world, which means they'll go into mines, they'll go into other places to work, and they had superhuman strength. Okay, now what was encoded in them is that they were not allowed to go past a certain clock time or cycle. And that what would happen is they would then start to die off. So the partner Babylon actually said, the movie comes to me, but then it disappears. It's like the name won't come. But in the movie, he explains that is the Adamites, that they were programmed with a set coding, and then they rebelled. And that's what it shows you in the movie. Okay? Oh, what is this movie called? Someone will come up with it. I know somebody knows out there. Okay, maybe I'm not explaining it properly. I'm not very good with explanation movies, but yeah. So it will come to me. It will come to me. So it's essentially that's what's taking place with the Adamite. They were given 6,000 years of time, but due to their nature, they rebelled. You know, and that rebellious nature is what they have in them. So even though they've been sent many warners, and they've been sent many guidance in the form of scriptures, what they kept doing was going back and behaving animalistic and thing, because their nature was just like that. It just could not be reformed. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Just like Egyptian ancestors, read that. Blade Runner, there you go. That's the movie. Toe Tack, Brown Sugar 72. Yeah, so watch that movie again, and now apply what Partner Babianun has broken. If you watch the movie, you see a deeper meaning behind it, where they try to, you know, get their creator to give them an extension in life, and then I think Blade Runner kind of like puts them offline because they were programmed in a way where they could be turned offline. But when you watch Blade Runner 2, it actually tries to show you that life can come in other ways, and somehow in that movie you see what happens there. But I won't give it away for those who want to watch it. So the question from Salket is, who encoded these things in their genes? Oh, okay, as answered by and when the brother Hara just asked the question, the encoding of the genes was done, like I was saying, explaining earlier, it was interceptions. So the Pleiadians, the Anunnaki, and the Draconians all had a part to play. Okay? And what they were doing is they were encoding in a way where they could be controlled. And you can find more of that in, I think it's the Master Secrets called Designer Genes. Do we have that upstairs? Designer Genes. So let me, so I just read from, right, this is called, sorry, Zamata, I do have it. I thought I didn't. Okay, so let me read from the Designer Genes at Master Secrets. I got it, yeah. The Designer Genes, so verse 1. Pa rasam ur yachas kawun DUF 1220. The designer gene is DUF 1220. So that is a gene, is the mysterious, it says here DUF 1220. You can look this up. Is the mystery of primate brain expansion. The Musyad Mutatalu extraterrestrials use it to make a kind of man in their own Shaba image and like them, yet who would never mentally grow older than Pa Akal, the mind of a 13-year-old. So that goes back to your, what I mentioned earlier about the CRISPR. If you go and look up CRISPR, you find out how they can actually manipulate genes and take out plasmids and all of this kind of stuff in the mitochondria, and then they can actually design a baby. So this is actually found in that gene called DUF, the DUF gene 1220. And their minds was the mind of a 13-year-old. Verse 4. The smartest of the Koradu simians only have Pa Akal, the mind of a 3 to 6 year old. Verse 5. The simian or monkeys have 48 chromosomes. That 48 chromosomes are equal to the planet project sector 24, or 24 plus 24 equals 48. So 24 plus 24 equals 48 chromosomes of the simians grown on this Mikak planet, who became the ape man, chimpanzee, and others. Verse 7. It was to control Pa Damag, the brain, to make this new kind of Zazaz man a primitive worker, as chimpanzee can and do use tools. Verse 8. Once the Musyad Mutatalu extraterrestrial mixed their own 46 chromosomes to match the new axis of Pa Mikap, the planet 23 degrees. So, like I was saying earlier, the planet Tiamat has been here many billions of years, and then due to that incident with Nibiru, it tilted it off to a 23-degree axis. So they had to match the chromosome, the genome of Earth, with the genome of the beings that were living here. So that's how deep it gets. Okay. So once the Musyatalu extraterrestrials mixed their own 46 chromosomes to match the new axis of Pa Mikab, the planet, 23 degrees, you had 23 plus 23 equals 46 chromosomes. Verse 9. And the outcome of the simians, 48, and Pa Mukma'u, the Pleiadians, 46, with the Anunnakis, 47 chromosomes, was a savant person with the mind of all three and often underdeveloped physical actions. Verse 10. The mind of the simian, a 3 to 6 year old, Pa Akal, the mind of the Pleiadian, a wicked, evil, Musyad Mutatalu extraterrestrial. So now you can see the correlation and the connection when it talks about, and God grieved in his heart because he had made man, and his mental was evil continuously, is from the Pleiadians, because their mind is wicked. Verse 11. The result was a Rasam or Yachas designer gene, now called DUF, or short for DUF, 1220. Now that they have knowledge of genomes, or key nomen, yeah, remember the word key is where you get the word geo, as in geography, etc., from the Greek. Nomen, earth names, naming each of the Yachasat genes of the genome, and the helix, naming things able to speak. Verse 12. There is a misconception that the larger the brain, the higher the intelligence, which actually is incorrect. The higher the intelligence it is dependent upon the increased number of neurons in the damag brain. This is why we study, why we say we should study, because this is what's taking place. Verse 14. For example, primates have more neurons than non-primates. Verse 15. The DUF 1220 domain is made up of 65 amino acids and is located in a certain part of the first chromosome. Verse 16. This encoding was found in most duplicated in 140 genes, showing human lineage specific gain or loss. So this goes into like whole science and biology and stuff like that, which you can look up. So just jumping into verse 22. So verse 22, they, Kathufa, programmed this new Salah race of a kind of man and ape to be muabadu, slave workers, mudzyafu, entertainers. Verse 23, so they Rasuma designed Yachasat genes and created a savant or servant to serve them as mukhdamu, servants. Yet the actual minds of the males of the Mu'adamu Salal Adamite race never get older than a 13-year-old of other Salalu races. He must have toys, play games, have contests, experience danger, fight, or like a Khara child, act like adults. So he created a game cinema where they can act out being superheroes of all kinds. So that goes back to your question regarding the selfishness. Yeah, this is what's encoded in them. And unfortunately now, due to us mixed, etc., we have those traits. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Verse 24. The Rasam or Yachasat designer genes today is seen and thought to be Ghayat art, hobbies, Nabagh art, talents, Hazak art, skills. Verse 25. These were all Khatufa, programmed in the mixture from the savant part of the gene pool. Verse 26. The results is you see people of all Salalu races who are obsessed with something. Some are obsessed with Rasum, drawing, Rakus, dancing, Ranoi, singing, Tabuk, cooking, Khayut, sewing, Dahun, painting, Khafu, fighting, Qatul, killing, Khadum, serving, Mialab art, sporting games, and so much more. Even Janus, sexing, or nymphomania results in many cases as whores and or prostitution, or girls who just go from fateh lake fateh, boy to boy, or zazaz lake zazaz, man to man, called boyfriends, and my lover, she is a sex slave to males in her Yachas art genes. I could go on and on, but I think you get the drift. Yeah, so if there are any more questions, obviously on that, then I can, but that was the encoding. Yeah, the DUF, so look that up. Tao attack again for the Blade Runner, break it down. And Jackie has a question. Many hurricane victims in Jamaica are not getting help from the government. They are more attentive to their constituents. Is it on us to help to include those from the African governments? slightly off topical, but yeah, but it's all about, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, is humanity. You know, we are for the preservation of humanity. So yes, African countries should all unite and go and save and help and, you know, give aid to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. However, know that when we talk about draconian seed and black devils, there are black devils in government. And this is the reason why there's such a holdback on the progression of Africa, because many black devils are holding power seats in the government. And they are the ones that are pulling the strings and orchestrating and working with the West, do you see what I'm saying, to keep our brothers and sisters subjugated, suppressed, etc. There's uprisings in Kenya a couple of years ago. The youth were uprising. There was uprising in Ghana before Mahama became president because of the injustice and the people not getting jobs. And so yeah, there's all of that going. The geopolitical environment is very affects obviously the natural course of events. So yes, you're right. We are supposed to help our brothers. We are our brother's keeper. You know, this is one of the things that has also been advocated by us as Sabians, is that we're not just individuals. When you say the Partakut, our affirmation, it says you'll fail as an individual. Do you see what I'm saying? We are part of all and all is part of us. Yeah, so once you start to understand what that actually means, the principle behind it is that when I look at my sister or my brother, I'm not seeing I'm seeing me. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm seeing me in that position, in that destitution, in that whatever position. And that's how we need to start. We are the reflection of ourselves, you know? So every brother and sister should really be saying, you know what, we need to, but unfortunately, we have black devils in our midst as well, you know, who work along with their other different races of devils to keep certain things from not being exposed or keep certain things from not being given, etc. So you have to be mindful of that as well. It's not all just black people because they're black, they're good. That doesn't cut. Do you know what I mean? It's not with the skin you're in anymore. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Notice the time is creeping up slowly on us. So get your questions in, you know, before class ends. I'm sure you got an itching or burning question. Anybody? Just check on Clubhouse. Clubhouse kicked me out again. That's so crazy. Do you have a question? All right, well,
How do we go about dealing with black devils in our mess?
how? Oh gosh. How'd you go about? You don't go up to them and say, "You're a black devil." that's a no-no. Yeah, that's a no-no. What the masters explain? Let me just go to good and evil, and I'll read something to you, and then we'll explore that. So let me just find good and evil. If we got upstairs, it'd probably be quicker. If anybody could, if it's up there, that's not it. No. Yes, actually, then I may put it in the wheel. Yes, please, tour. Yeah, if you can check it. Oh, wait. I'm trying to remember where I put it. Saved it under. Is it there?
Sure.
Oh, brilliant. Ah, there you go. Look at that. We were meant to have this book. Okay, so if you, so this is an actual fact called wu-nuwaup, Good and Evil, series number 31. And just wanted to give this before we jump on like the Black Devils, because there's a book that the master written called What and Where's the Devil Today. So it's good to get that book, What and Where's the Devil Today, yeah? And there's a one called Black Devils as well. Wait, so they've got two books that he actually tells you the subtleness of their intentions, do you know what I mean, and how they go about certain things and stuff. But I'll just read from right. I'll read from verse 160. Then they want you to mix with their kakasnadus as kokosoid men, as they're seen on a big screen. Right, I've got enough time. As always, so great and sahimul, powerful, to the image of the gadadu, gods, angels, prophets, and saints in their religions. And they have you living in the Shabbat image and accepting the Shabbat image of the Gadad Gad, God, the Mudwau, devil, a man, Revelation 13:18, 2 Thessalonians 2:3, Ezekiel 28 verse 2, 6, and 9, a fake, Gadad, God, pretender, deceiver, Revelations 12:9. So I'm just giving you the attributes here. So listen to the attributes here. For boys, it looks tough, bad. Bad boy also look good, Janesi, sexy. However, this form of cool, tough, bad boy gang team as shown on TV or cinema seek out girls for Janu sex and shaye, pleasure, the more the better. Verse 162. You think if I look good to others, you'll be accepted. Give your haya life, your future, and your ba'ah soul over to him in his own undercover way, so you can fakor, think this is what I want, when it's what he wants. This is how I want to act or look to be accepted. It is blind, takak, faith, and in time you bump into all kinds of heartaches, makab, pain, maraz, disease, sufferings, and then he is not there to help you, and you all are all alone. 167, he'll do anything to be your leader, to rule you. Verse 168, that is the wu-nuwaupu, devil's trick. So these are all attributes and traits, okay, of the physical devil and his children and his minions, yeah? So I'm trying to give you again an understanding of what to look for, yeah? He'll do anything to be your leader, to rule you. That is the wu-nuwaupu, devil's trick in many forms, yet all are a form of za'am, religion. Blind faith in his system, what he shows you to program you. Politics, sports, employment, in uniform are all a form of devotion, a za'am, religion, opinion to which you belong. You join his wars, get trained to katul, kill for him in an uniform. You join a team, sports, to entertain him. You put on a uniform, you work for him, act for him, model for him, sing for him, rakos, dance for him, all for him. In his Shabbat image, you live and will die for him. He is the will, evil. So you're now inheriting his characteristics, okay? Their Muslafu ancestors cannot help nor hear you. Your voice box, Hazuz, vibrates unlike theirs, and it's why you can tell the difference when a Kakaznadu Kokosoid speaks and when a Nagar Nadu Negroid speaks. Vibration is not the same and on different frequencies. I'm going to jump to verse 182. They are removing our race's tones in the West and bred, right, this is the key part, and bred from the 1600s to 2000 AD. So during the time of the slave kidnapping, yeah, our ancestors went through certain things, because there's a breeding process. This is the epigenetics affecting us, because in every 4 generations there's a change, you see what I'm saying, of mind, physiology, etc. Okay, that is, it took 400 years for them to make a Negro. Okay, or muhmin-u, mudwau, black devil. So it was a genetic concentration on converting and changing us from our original state into becoming black devils. You see? So that's one stage, but then there's also devils that existed in the form of Enoch and Enosh and Cain, who had his children, who have infiltrated and mixed in with us now as well. Okay? But this purely is based on the 400 years. So this black devil and removed all dark-skinned persons from the public eye, replacing Nagaranadu Negroids on TV or cinemas with darker-skinned Latinos, Indians, and Asians. Then mix all to produce a new neutrinoid race, whose voice is on a new tone that can't make contact with pure Afafre Ka'au spirit forces to open the way. Only pure Morapu European forces feeding their Satu Achach cis ether forces. They are lost Ka'au spirits. Look good in the Khatat al-Tapar physical world, yet have no contact in our Ka'a al-Tapar spirit world. So they had to or have to kill off all unique Nagarnadu Negroids' voices to cut the etheric cord between the Khatat al-Tapar physical world and our Ka'a al-Tapar spiritual world. So this here is what's taken place, is that your essence is being slowly removed, and then you start becoming a devil, and you start inheriting his attributes and his characteristics. So when Nagaranadu comes into our midst, okay, you have to watch for these characteristics. Are they about unity or are they about separation? You see what I'm saying? Are they whoring after a particular, person? Are they pulling you to the side saying, I think this person such and such, I think this. There's an old publication that the Master Poet has called the Gossip. Yeah, and it talks about how when people gossip, etc., and how it's passed on, and one person passes into another, etc. These, the person who pulls you to the side and says, you know what, I think we should do it this way. Do you get what I'm saying? Or when you've left class and you say, you know what that brother was saying or that sister was saying? Nah, that's not how it really goes. Do you see what I'm saying? So the moment you walk out of here, your non-ether state starts to dwindle because they start putting ideas and thoughts and things into your head. Do you see what I'm saying? And so these are little subtle things that you need to be careful and watch for, because then before you start knowing it, you're becoming it. You understand? You understand? So this just to put you, but listen to some of the old lectures. Even though they're old, yeah, you can see the ones that goes into, and you think, like the Narun Samoon and and all of these different things, yeah. Okay. Right, it's 9:30, and then I've got a whole heap of, 3 questions. Okay, 3 questions. I'm going to go through very quickly, Jackie. Can the reptilians or the Dragonians shapeshift into anything, human, animals, reptile? I'm not too sure about, well, they are reptilians anyway, so they can change into human and animals. Yes, they can. They do have the ability to, and so do we. We actually have the ability to, once you learn how to understand the formula of an actual animal, you can actually change into that animal and hold that image for a certain particular length of time. Because if you stay too long, you can actually get trapped in that shape of an animal, okay, or in that animal's matrix. The movie that they showed that in is called Manimal. If anyone watched a TV program called Manimal in the 80s, yeah, he was able to transform his body into a creature, an animal, and he learned this science, believe it or not, in Africa. So he was able to do that, but he couldn't stay in it too long. And when he came out of it, he was very exhausted because you take the actual energy, it drains you. The master broke this down in an update. So yes, they can do that. Has the master spoken about an alien being coming to visit the Earth leaders at these times? Yeah, that's Nana. Nana came in 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2015. And to tell them to that their time is up. He'll be returning, and the next time he returns is food for the gods. And so the master had brought down an update that, no. So yeah, but beings, extraterrestrials are be coming back and forth and visiting leaders. Please, can I just say, it's not the Hollywood rendition of extraterrestrials. Please, that's what they've put into our mind's eye. So when we automatically think ET, extraterrestrial, alien, unbeknown in your subconscious mind, you're trying to formulate an image of what they look like. And because they've already implanted these images into your mind's eye, it's very hard for you to say they look like us. Do you see what I'm saying? But extraterrestrials have wielded themselves into society. Watch the movie V. That will show you how they assimilate into, a thing. And most of them are, if you go and look at the Nordics, extraterrestrials are there. If you look at our race, we have a being that's here. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, in a etheric incarnation. So, yeah, extraterrestrials are here in this day and time and have been speaking to leaders of governments. Okay, but they act human, etc. But they're connected to their extraterrestrial origin. Okay, with that, I'd like to end class because time was running over and we got a long place to travel from. So tawakum pa moisar lahe ya toy pa kayat panin masut. Okay, that's thank you, family, for coming to class this evening. I hope you can attend more, and I hope you can still hear me because I think my mic. Oh no, it's fine. Okay, yeah, my mic's fine. So yes, moisar, tawakum, take care. Ahrus, what else is there? Is there anything to mention? Yes, please check out our language app on DS4. Please check it out, because if you want to get and change the frequency and vibration of your own being and also the frequency and vibration of the planet, that is a language that is going to do that. Okay, it's much more than just sounding like you can speak a different language. This language goes into the molecular structure in your helix matrix, which links in back to your ancestors, Parnataru. So it's actually changing you on the molecular level. That's what languages do. And also your brain is actually processing and growing new neurons when you're learning this language. So please check it out, subscribe, do you know what I mean? And anything else that needs to be mentioned? No? Okay, support again. The bookstore, do your best, come down, support it physically, come to classes as well, physical. We'd like to see those people, who are online. It's not just all about Zoom, okay? Try and get here physically as well when you can. Ashok, Academy Disruptive has been posted again. What else is there? I think that's it. And also, most importantly, okay, Pa Nabab Ya Nun, our focal point, okay? He will be free. He will be free. He will be free. And we just have to keep still visioning that he's amongst us, okay? Wadu Moisar, Wa Ashok.